Welcome back, everybody. Welcome to the D.O.G podcast. I'm Drew. As always, I'm with OC and German. And today we're going to talk a little bit about week 3.
Let's go ahead. Let's talk about these come from behind wins, man. There were some big ones here in week two. I think the biggest one. Let's go ahead. Let's jump right into it. The Dolphins coming back on the Ravens. OC, we were watching that game. Tua had a big game. Finally, let his nuts drop and actually had the big star game that we were all expecting. What you
Became
see,
an
man?
NFL quarterback.
What you see about Tua, man? What you like?
He let that thing slang, dude. Come on. Finally, bro. I've been on this train, especially last season going into this one, where we
Yeah.
talked about it. Like, hopefully he starts putting up the numbers. He's got the weapons around him. And finally, like that, the first half was ugly.
Right.
And then somehow, some way, they started picking it up. I mean, the Ravens completely looked lost defensively,
Mm-hmm.
and Tua just let that thing spin. It was like, yeah, I'd never seen him throw anything remotely close to what he was doing on Sunday.
What'd you
But it
think about?
was
Oh no, sorry.
oh
But
go
what
no
you think about those two plays where Tyreek Hill got behind everybody? Like if you know you're up big on the Dolphins, you know that they're gonna go ahead and they're gonna take their shots. Would you think like hey, just don't let Tyreek get behind you? But they let him get behind twice, and one of them looked like it was a blown coverage. What'd you see?
it was astonishing to see like the fact that you're not double covering the probably the fastest guy in the league. You're
Right.
just you're pretty much like single covering him, and then the corner, if you look at the film, like he sits there like he thinks he has safety help. So obviously blown coverages,
On the second
but
one, right?
yeah, on the second one, but
Yeah.
still, like the biggest thing that I picked up on it, and I put it out there to some on Twitter, and I was just talking about how four of his six touchdown throws came on third down.
Right.
So it was like crucial situations where they needed to move the
Mm-hmm.
chains, and he made plays to make it happen. So all the credit to him, all the
Mm-hmm.
credit to, I mean, Tyreek, who made the plays, and Waddle and Gesicki, who had a big catch.
Mm-hmm.
All of them just really flourished in that fourth quarter.
What was it about the defense? Like, I mean, we saw the beginning of the first half. It was like they kind of were playing like that cover zero look, right? Where they kind of just let Lamar Jackson have those big runs to the outside. What changed in the second half? What did you notice?
Well, it was they had two key fourth down stops. They had one in the first half
Mm-hmm.
that kind of they had a goal line stop, right, and that kind of flipped the script, and they ended up going on a drive that tied the
Mm-hmm.
game. And then in the late third, they had a stop. Like the Ravens were at the Dolphins like 40-yard line, and they stopped
Mm-hmm.
them again. They stopped Lamar Jackson, and it kind of just like it wasn't a great performance by any means, because I mean in
Mm-hmm.
fantasy they did terrible, but it was like a bend but don't break defense. And the way that I looked at it was they were just giving up big plays,
Mm-hmm.
like they would get into first and second down situations where they would stop the Ravens, but then
Right.
Lamar would he reeled off a 79-yard run, and then he threw a 75-yard pass. They ran back
Mm-hmm.
a kickoff. So it was just like really like explosive plays that were killing them because they were
Mm-hmm.
blitzing, stacking the box. They really didn't have anybody deep. So if they got past the second level, there was no one that was going to touch Lamar or any of those receivers.
So what you're saying is like, I mean, yeah, the Ravens took the lead, but it was because of a bunch of like mishaps that happened like on special teams and then like misassignments on the defense. So it just kind of looked like they were dominating, but not necessarily just dominating on all fronts.
No, and even when we were watching it, I was kind of like, they're not really out of it. Like if they just get a couple of stops, and
Right.
then they put some drives together, and
Mm-hmm.
one thing led to another, and they just kept putting drives together and drives
Mm-hmm.
together, and I was just like, oh damn, like they're really gonna pull this off.
Right. Drew, what do you think went wrong for the Ravens, man? Especially offensively, they couldn't really put any drives together there in the fourth quarter, especially.
I think they just kind of fell into that comfort zone. Like, this game's over. They took, I think,
Mm-hmm.
Miami way too lightly. You can kind of see it on defense.
Mm-hmm.
Like we talked about, blown coverages, kind of very lackadaisical. So I think the offense was kind of that way too. Um, I think they are obviously a very run heavy offense. You got
Right.
a running back core, and then you got Lamar Jackson, who he's probably 50-50 pass and run. Um, so I think it was real easy for Miami eventually to
Mm.
kind of settle down on defense and figure it out, hold them, and then the whole tide changed once Miami scores a couple of touchdowns. Everything's going a different direction. Lamar's got some pressure to try and get a drive going and run out the clock, and they just really couldn't do it. It just really
Mm.
flipped about the beginning of the fourth quarter that it just turned into all Miami.
It was cool finally to see Tua make plays, and especially it was like that one play, that touchdown pass to win the game to Waddle, where he kind of just he goes out, makes a spin move on the tackle or on the defensive end, and then makes the throw. Like it was actually finally cool to see Tua make those plays. Did you guys see any criticism of Tua at all? Because that's what we're talking about. Like there was still going to be some type of criticism on Tua.
Of
Did you
Tua,
see any? Yeah.
I don't know how anyone could criticize Tua after that game. I mean, led a huge comeback,
Mm-hmm.
crunch time on the road. So I didn't see it, but I'm sure you guys saw it. But I can't understand or see why anyone would criticize that.
Oh, see, did you see anything?
Oh yeah, for sure. There was a couple
There's
pundits
always
that still were like, "Oh, congrats, you hit a bunch of open guys. You did what you were supposed to." Like the Ravens basically didn't play defense. I'm
right.
surprised it took you so long. Oh, the ball was still underthrown. Like it was the guys
Mm-hmm.
that are still like standing on their stance on Tua. Like,
Yeah.
yeah, he had one good game. Let me see you do it again.
Right.
You know?
Poor guy, man. Let's go. Let's stay on the theme of come from behind wins. Let's talk about that Jets and the Browns games. Did you guys catch any of that at all?
I caught Joe Flacco win the game, and that was about it.
That was about it. OC, what did you see, man? What did you see that? I guess you could say maybe the Browns kind of just let that one go because I mean the Jets didn't really play out of their minds. Not the same way that Miami did. What'd you see, OC?
The biggest play that I mean everyone kind of talked about was Chubb scoring with
Right.
less than 2 minutes left instead of running
Mm-hmm.
out of bounds. And he, the thing is, like he did it a couple years ago where he had about an 80-yard touchdown against the Texans. I vividly remember this.
Mm.
And instead of scoring, because they were only up three, he decides to just fall down at like the 2 yard line and run out the
Mm-hmm.
clock.
Right.
So it's kind of like he's been there before. He knew what he could have done to just run out the
Mm-hmm.
clock, but he chose not to. So you give him the ball back. The Browns blow a coverage and Corey
Right.
Davis scores, and then they come back
Mm-hmm.
and get some weird onside kick. And then of course Flacco goes down and just drives it. Oh, and then it also helps that the Browns missed that extra point when Chubb scored.
Yeah.
Right. Exactly.
You know what
Uh,
I hate about that blown coverage
mm-hmm.
is I've seen that replay multiple times, and the guy's within like 6 yards of him, and there's no effort on that defensive end to catch him. It was almost like they give up. It's like, oh shit, he's by me. I'll just let him go, and he was still like 30 yards out of the end zone. So
Mm-hmm.
that kind of just showed me kind of like what the whole mindset of that was. It's like, well, fuck it, it's over. It's gonna
Yeah.
happen.
Let's go back to that Chubb decision to go ahead and score. Like, do you fault a guy in that situation, or do you just kind of just like, well, I mean, our defense has got to step up and eventually do their thing, right? OC.
Normally I wouldn't criticize him, but
Mm-hmm.
the thing is, like I've seen him do it before, where
Mm-hmm.
he took a knee and he fell down because he
Mm-hmm.
knew the situation. So it's like maybe he thought, well, we're already up like 6 points. We're gonna be up 13 if I
Mm-hmm.
do this, or 14. So maybe
Yeah.
that's his thought process. But I
Right.
mean, I don't think no one ever thought the Jets would score two touchdowns with like less than 2 minutes left. So.
Right. Yeah, Drew, I mean, you're up already a score. You score to go up another score. Like, do you fault him for that, for not knowing the
No,
situation or doing it
no.
despite knowing the situation?
I think looking back at it, it's dang. If you would have done this, we would have locked that game in. But I don't fault him. I agree with OC. You're gonna go up
Mm-hmm.
two scores. You're gonna give the Jets of all teams 2 minutes to score two touchdowns. I don't
Right.
think so. I think that's probably the safer bet. Is let me just get an extra touchdown here. Let's go up two
Mm-hmm.
scores. Our defense will do his thing, and we'll win this game instead of necessarily risking something else. An extra couple of plays or something. I
Right.
think it's a fine move. Just score the touchdown, go up two, and then let your defense beat the Jets. And that didn't happen.
right? I mean, in that situation, you kind of just be like, well, I mean, he did his job. Now everybody else has got to
Yeah,
do their job, right?
yeah.
Especially if you're
Yeah.
going to criticize guys for not doing their jobs. I mean, Chubb did his job. I mean, you can fault more that guy who blown his coverage or the special teams for
Oh,
not
for sure.
recovering the onside kick, right? So that's where I
Exactly.
was like, Chubb's getting unfair criticism on that. Let's go
Amari
ahead.
Cooper. Amari
Right.
Cooper missed that onside.
I guess you could blame all three phases of the game, right? Offense, defense, and special teams, right? Because they all had chances to close it out and they didn't.
Mm-hmm.
Right. I always had.
But the only
Mhm.
guy that did his job was Chubb. His job wasn't necessarily to, s- you know, come short of the goal line. It was to score.
Right.
You always
Yeah.
want to score.
And he's a running back, dude. Like, if you're going to get the opportunity to score, you're probably going to score. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, the situation was weird because you're already up, but like, who doesn't want more points, right?
So
Especially when
then,
you're on
so then,
offense.
so let's play the hypothetical game. If
Hmm.
they're only up three, does he score?
Yeah, 100%.
You go up 10.
What if they're up only like one? Does he sit?
You have to. You have to score,
No,
right?
you have to go into a two-score game. I think that's the
So
big thing is
score no
going
matter
into it.
what.
Yeah, I
It's
think
just that
so.
the thing is that if there's any lifeline left, you don't give that to them, right? And you try to put up as many points as you can, um, because even if you're just ahead by 1 point and you're trying to bleed out the clock, you never know what can happen at any given play, right?
Yeah, this isn't high school football. You shouldn't have major blown coverages. You shouldn't have onside kicks being recovered all the time. Chubb did his job. It was the defense and special teams job for them to step up and do their job,
Right.
and they didn't do it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree. Let's go ahead. Let's go on to my favorite one out of all three, and the Raiders and the Cardinals. Man,
Oh my
Kyle
god.
Murray had himself a game there in the fourth quarter. Do you guys think it's more like Kyle Murray playing out of his mind, or just the Raiders defense being exhausted, or just blowing coverages? OC, what do you think, man?
I think a little bit of both. They keep bringing up that clip where Kyler has the ball for 20 seconds and then finally decides to run it in like he's playing recess against his boys in fourth grade.
He
So
looked he looked like
it,
me on Thanksgiving Day, like playing against you guys and just running around. I'm just gonna keep it.
That's right.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Uh huh.
I'm just gonna
Drew,
run it in.
Drew, what did you see, man? What did you think about that game?
Um, I kind of like what OC said. A little bit of both. You gotta look at that defense and be like, what the fuck are you guys doing?
Right.
Like, how can you not come close to him? How does a linebacker not eventually say, you know what, after 10 seconds, I'm sick of this shit. Let me go after Kyler Murray.
Mm-hmm.
I think they were kind of given a gift on that hold, in my opinion, later on
Mm.
down the stretch to kind of prolong this game. But I am a little disappointed in the Raiders, honestly.
I know you were beginning of the year. You were high on the Raiders, man. Now they're 0-2.
Yeah,
What's going on?
yeah. Offense got to kind of get going a little bit. The defense has been a
Mm-hmm.
big bag of shit. So once they got to figure that out. I mean, you can only score so many points, until you got to stop giving up points.
I
Hey,
mean,
So
they
when it
were
was like,
they were up 20-0 at one point, right?
they were.
yeah,
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I'm
And
not
then
really looking. I'm not looking at the offense and being like, how come you guys can't win this games? I'm looking at the defense and be like, how come you guys can't stop a guy? It's one guy.
and especially it's just like such a out of script play too. It's just like he's running
Yeah,
around like it's like yeah, you did everything like fundamentally right or schematically right, but now just make the play, right? Make the
yeah,
tackle. Like I
yeah.
think Max Crosby, I think when one of those plays where he's running around, Crosby had him,
He
right?
like hugged him and then just like lets him go.
Right? Mhm.
The
It's bad
biggest thing for
defense.
me at the biggest thing for me at the end was like they needed a score, right? They score,
Mhm.
but you still have a chance to win it if you're the Raiders because if you don't let them convert the 2 point conversion, you win the game, and they still couldn't do that.
It was like two
You know?
plays in a row, right? Yeah, because I think
Yeah, they
the
just
touchdown happened with like 4 seconds left, and then the 2 point
yeah
conversion. Yeah, you had
yeah.
you had
So they
two
keep
chances to beat them. Hmm.
and
Let's
then they
talk.
fumble in overtime. So
Yeah, that's the one I wanted to talk about. Fucking Hunter Winfro. I mean, just pretty much just gets knocked out, right? Like he like took a
Yeah.
big hit, but he had fumbled like a couple plays before that. Like, do
yeah,
you kind of like, hey, let's maybe not go to Winfro because he's kind of fumbling the ball right now. Let's go to our best athlete, Devonte Adams. Even though maybe yeah he's double covered in every play, but it was the same thing for him when he was at Green Bay and he still got the ball, right? Uh, do you think maybe that's just game management at that point? Like, hey, let's communicate this. Winfro just fumbled. We saved ourselves. Let's probably not go to him for this play. Drew, what do you think?
Well, I think I obviously you kind of got to look. Devonta Adams, your number one option, right?
Hmm.
But Renfro and Carr have kind of built this relationship in the last couple of years of being somewhat of a safety blanket.
Right.
Eventually the relationship with Adams will grow like it did in college, but Renfro has been Derek's guy, one of his guys for the last few years. Um, I don't blame him necessarily for the second fumble. It was
He
perfect play on
he
defense.
took a big hit. It was a
Yeah,
lick.
it, it,
Yeah.
it was it was great defense.
Yeah.
But I think all of us know that after the first one and he's a little shaken up, I don't think any of us would have come off the field, and I think all three of us would ask for the ball again. So I think he
Mm.
was just a dude being a dude, and then he just got outplayed. Honestly, I mean, I can't fault the guy. I mean, he got lit up. It was great defensive play, and the ball came out. Just
I was
unfortunate, really.
OC, what do you think, man? Would you have gone to somebody else, or would have you try to make that adjustment to like, hey, let's probably not go to Winfro on this?
I think that's the arrogancy of the league, though. Like they think they're the dudes, you know. So you keep going back to them, and then like Andrew said, that's been his safety blanket like the last couple of years
Mm-hmm.
on short yardage situations. Like you said, he took a lick. My biggest thing was like when he was about to score, right? The defensive player for the Cardinals was it, Bunting or
Right,
Murphy.
right.
Fucking
Yeah.
stupid
He
ass.
literally drops the ball as he's crossing the goal line. I don't understand for the life of
Why
me
is
why
this a big thing
these
in the
guys
NFL?
like they're not even in half the time and they're already like dropping the ball. I'm like, what? Like at least cross and then go
Go
leave it out in the
celebrate.
back of the end zone.
It's a
But
Deshaun Jackson type of deal, right? Where like he did
yeah,
it like a couple times and they had to review it. Yeah, I mean, again, he's a defensive player, right? He's a DB. I mean, do you kind of still fault him for that?
yeah,
I mean,
because it's
how
like,
your
dude,
brother's a
the
DB?
game's on the line.
Mm-hmm. Well, go ahead,
Your
Drew.
brother's a DB. Your brother's a DB. How would you feel if that was him?
Yeah, but
You you'd be on his ass.
I would, but I mean that's different. That's like lower level. I mean, this guy's at the highest level
So
playing
he should know
cornerback.
better.
So
Like,
exactly. So he should know better.
Okay, that's true. Okay, I'll give you guys that. He should know better. I mean, having the experience of going from high school to college to now the pros.
and
But
the thing is, like, the game's on the line. Like, why would you even risk that? Like, you're about to win
right,
the game, and then if you fumble out of the end zone, it's a touchback. They're gonna get it back.
right. I mean, at the end of the day, they won the game. I mean,
Yeah.
I guess no harm, no foul. Like we could. I mean, we would definitely be talking about it a lot more had he let go of it before he reached the end zone. But he didn't. He did end up reaching the end zone. But I mean, in that situation, when you're the Raiders, I mean, who do you fault more on that? Like, do you offense, defense, like special teams? Like, you're up 20, you still couldn't close the game out, right? What do you guys think went wrong for the Raiders, Drew?
I prefer. I honestly, I think it's defense. You
Mm-hmm.
gave
I
your
go,
defense a 20 point cushion, and they couldn't stop Kyler Murray. Yes, you can look at the offense and be like, hey guys, can you continue production? But this is NFL. Eventually, defenses figure out what you're doing, right? They can make
Mm-hmm.
halftime adjustments. They're gonna slow down your offense. It's up to the defense to maintain that lead, and they really didn't do that at all.
Oh, see, what do you think?
I go the opposite way. I put it on the
Mm-hmm.
offense. Like, you're gonna go out and get probably the best receiver in the game, and you can't get more than 3 points in the second half. Like, that's on the offense. Like, go. Like, you can't put like another at least 6 points on the board to put this game away, and you just let it linger, and it came back to bite you. You know.
I agree because I mean their play calling definitely did change in the second half. Going back and watching some of the highlights, and they couldn't really get the ball going. I mean, J.J. Watt made a couple of plays. Chandler Jones made a couple of plays, but it wasn't like the defense was playing out of their minds, right? Like to you still can't, like OC said, you banked out on getting this receiver because he's a hometown favorite. He's a Raider fan that grew up, and then he's got this great relationship with Carr and whatever. Okay, now put points on the board, right? Do what we brought you here to do, and then not just add on Adams, but you have Waller, you have Winfro, you have Jacobs. Like you have all these weapons on the offensive side, and you still can't put up 6 points in the second half. Like I do think I definitely fought the offense on this game. Um, let's go ahead. Let's move on to the next thing, man. Let's talk. I really wanted to talk about Tom Brady real quick, and the whole brawl that happened between Evans and what's the DB from
Lattimore.
Lattimore
Yeah.
exactly. Um, who do you fault in that situation? I know Adams or Evans and Lattimore have been going back and forth about it for a couple of years now, but do you think maybe Tom Brady should have handled that situation a little bit better? OC.
That's Tom just being Tom. You see how chippy he's been in years, especially the last couple of years. There's like an edge to him, and he'll
Yeah.
talk shit to you. Like he'll stand in your face and he'll give it to you. You know. And the funny part is, like, you see a bigger or a wider angle. You see Bruce Arians, who's like a consultant now to the staff. He
Right.
was
Yeah.
getting into it too. He was
I
egging
saw
it
that.
on too.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like Brady's been doing that for years. Like he'll
Mm-hmm.
talk trash into your face. He doesn't care. He's a competitor. And then yeah, like you said, Evans has had that uh, that beef with Lattimore for the last
Mm-hmm.
couple of years. So it's not surprising that he came in and just took him out and
Right.
caused the whole brawl.
Drew, what do you think, man?
Yeah, it's football, man. Everyone talks shit. You can't have a bunch of Andrew Lucks around telling everyone, "Oh, great hit! Oh, great pass."
Right.
No, it is a football. Everyone talks shit. So even Tom Brady. I mean, I think that's one of the most underrated things about Tom Brady. He's kind of that silent but deadly shit talker. Very little chirpy here and there. You don't really expect it from him.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and then the whole thing with Evans and Lattimore, it's just boiling over from years past, and that's just
Right.
a bunch of guys being guys.
They hate
It's
each
whatever,
other.
in my opinion.
They legit hate each other. But going back to the point where like Tom, I think he did that like against like Ray Lewis back in the day, right? Like he's been chipping at guys like his entire career. So
Hmm.
that's why I was like, I don't understand why, of course the media is always going to make a big deal about it because it's Tom, right? But I mean, if you look out through his entire career, he's been doing this since like almost day one. Like he's been chippy all the way through across the league. But it's cool to see that he still has that fire 20 years later to be chippy again and still getting into players' face, guys that are half his age and talking shit to them. I think it's awesome, dude. Um, what do you guys think about Evans appealing for that? Like, do you think it was the smart move? I mean, you kind of have to at that point, right? OC.
Yeah, you're gonna have to. But my biggest impression with Mike Evans was, yeah, I came across a little like excerpt where it says that he reduced his salary before the year started to the minimum base, which was like 1.12 or something.
Mm-hmm.
So, because his base salary was like something like probably in the 17s or 20s, 20 million. But since he reduced it, took everything as a signing bonus,
Mm-hmm.
his fine was only like a tenth of what it would have been because they fine you based off of what you make. So
Mm-hmm.
he reduced his fine significantly
Right.
by getting the league minimum salary before the year started.
So you
Smart
think he
move by
had
him, I
this? He
guess.
had.
Yeah.
I played the Saints twice this year. I'm getting
Yeah, so he
suspended.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it was like I think 60 grand was his fine, but it would have been six figures if he would have been making what he normally was making.
Jesus.
Right. I mean, what'd you say it was? It was like 6 grand. His fine.
No, so it was like I think it was like 60.
Uh huh.
I don't know. It was a tenth of what it would have been
Oh, okay.
because because he took the base minimum salary before the year started and
So
took
it's
the lump
just
sum.
just a little slap on the wiener and just be like, okay, don't do that again. Right. I mean,
Yeah, basically.
let's talk about Trey Lance's injury, man. Broken ankle. OC, we were watching that game too together. Um, a lot of people are criticizing the call by Kyle Shanahan, even though Kyle Shanahan he said he called the same play uh, a couple plays before in that same drive where it was like an RPO where Debo took the handoff and he went like for 50 yards, and then the next play called it again, and Trey Lance decided to keep it and gets his ankle broken. Drew, do you fault the play calling or do you think it's just football?
Just football. How many times did teams run the RPO? I mean,
Mm-hmm.
you got these athletes at quarterback now. I mean, Josh Allen, I feel like runs an RPO like every 2 plays, 3 plays, and that dude keeps it. I mean, granted, Josh Allen's a big ass dude, but it's part
Mm-hmm.
of football, man. I mean, he decided to keep it, and he got hurt. That's football, in my
Mm-hmm.
opinion.
OC.
Yeah, it's part of the game. I mean, you see injuries every Sunday. It's just
Mm-hmm.
it happened to be one of those freak ones where it just he got his leg got
Mm-hmm.
caught under him
Mm-hmm.
and it broke and it sucks, but it's part of the game. You see it all the time.
Right? It's honestly a miracle that anybody stays relatively healthy like throughout an entire career. Right? I mean, nobody was giving Bill Belichick shit when Tom Brady tore his ACL. Right? Like it's part of the
Mm-hmm.
game. Like you guys said, I mean, because I guess they were giving Kyle Shanahan a bunch of crap for calling the play, having your quarterback run between the tackles. But I mean, Lamar Jackson scored a 70-yard touchdown in between the tackles that same day. You know, Josh Allen
Yeah.
does it all the time. Right, and Josh Allen takes players' heads up too. It's not like Josh Allen sliding, not like Kyle Murray, right? Kyle Murray, he slides every opportunity he gets, but because he's a lot smaller. Josh
Mm-hmm.
Allen's a fucking giant. Trey Lance isn't small. So, I mean, he did what he was supposed to do. He made a play. Just got caught in the wrong place at the wrong time, right? Like, it's just
Yep.
shit happens. It's football. Anything else you guys want to add about week 2 before we go on to the next week's picks?
Okay,
How about
so
them
let
Cowboys?
There you go. Beating the
real
Bengals.
real
Yes,
quick, let me
sir.
go back to that whole Trey
Defending
Lance thing.
AFC champs.
Go
Um,
ahead.
the thing that kind of, I mean, it's not surprising, but to see a fan base like kind of not even flinch when your quarterback goes down.
That's
And
fucked
this,
up, bro.
I see, hey German, I see you. We were driving on your way back, and you're like, we got Jimmy. Like it's no big deal, you know.
I mean, it is what it is. I mean, I guess they kept Jimmy for a reason. The thing is it's Trey Lance has such a lack of experience playing 100% live reps. I mean, the game before it looked like he was getting his feet wet for the first time. Literally with the weather that was there and that they were dealing with in Chicago. But I mean, he was like, it looked like he was kind of easing into it. He looked a little bit more confident at the beginning of the Seattle game. So we still just don't know what he's going to be, in the future. Like, given he's what, like 23 years old, he's going to bounce back from a broken ankle. I think he'll be fine. I wouldn't necessarily call him a bust, but we have Jimmy, and we have a team of studs that can make plays. And well, I mean, Jimmy, I guess at the end of the day, a lot of people say, well, he's a winner. Like he could at least lead a team, and people are confident with him behind center. But my complaint about Jimmy, like I said before, is that he has a ceiling, and he's never gonna play a game out of his mind, or he's never gonna have a drive that's out of his mind to go win us the game, because he had that opportunity last year against the Rams. There at the end of the season, he had that last drive. He had 3 plays, and then he met Aaron Donald and he fumbled. So we know what Jimmy can do. We know his capacity, and I guess that's good enough for now, right? And then we'll just have to sit and wait another year for Trey Lance.
So
But
do you give? So obviously you give Trey Lance one more year, but if he can't stay healthy or put it together, are you out on him?
uh, I wouldn't necessarily say out on him because of how young he still is. And then he doesn't look super incompetent when he's behind center, if that makes sense. Like there's some quarterbacks, especially some backup quarterbacks, you see them go in and then you see like they look completely incompetent. Trey Lance, at least he has a little bit of a confidence, or he has a little bit more of a confident feel to him than other quarterbacks, especially some of the other quarterbacks that the Niners had before in the past. And then he wasn't really turning the ball over all that much. He only had one interception in week 1. Joe Burrow had 3 interceptions and a fumble. Kirk Cousins had 3 interceptions earlier this week. So if he can at least take care of the ball and still make some plays, I think he's heading in the right direction. I would say maybe two more years before we say completely out on Trey Lance. But I doubt that we're going to get to that point. I mean, this was just a freak accident. Like this hardly ever happens, right?
Well, if you guys need a quarterback, Cooper Rush is ready to go. Ask Andrew over here.
Cooper
That's
Rush,
QB
man.
one. That's QB1. He ain't going nowhere.
Dude, what's up with the Bengals this year, man? I think
They ran into the Cowboys. What do you mean? What's
oh,
up?
that's what that was.
Cowboys
Not
defense, baby.
not them playing super poorly against the Steelers the week before, and then playing poorly against you guys. I mean, come on, they had you
Well,
guys' backup quarterback.
the biggest thing for them in the offseason was to revamp that offensive line, right?
Right.
and it looks completely like a waste of money right now because
Yeah, it
they
does.
weren't able to stop a nosebleed.
They look lost. Micah Parsons had a game, dude.
Okay, so La'el Collins, they signed the right tackle La'el Collins this
Mm-hmm.
offseason, who's the formerly the Cowboys right tackle.
Mm-hmm.
And so Micah gets a sack on La'el Collins, and that's when they decided to talk about how La'el Collins was the first offensive guy to sit down with Micah Parsons last year and go over techniques with how to properly beat the offense.
Nice.
And it's hilarious that Micah Parsons beats La'el Collins the next year, gets a sack on Joe Burrow. And La'el Collins was the quote before the season's, "Let me introduce you to your new bodyguards," or whatever it was. And
Right.
then you got Micah Parsons just doing whatever the fuck he wants. And the Cowboys sacked Joe Burrow 6 times. Like, that's a
Yeah,
waste
dude.
of money.
It was pretty embarrassing. We were watching it and it's just like, oh Jesus Christ. I mean, you still can't protect your number one investment 3 years later,
Mm-hmm.
right? Like that was his first year
Yeah.
he was getting tossed around and then torn ACL, second year had a little bit better protection, and then all of a sudden it just falls apart again in his third year. Anything else you guys want to add before we go into the picks? You guys all good?
Yeah.
You guys owe me an apology now because you guys thought the Vikings were just gonna roll the Eagles. So fuck you
You know
guys.
what? I totally forgot that they still have Kirk Cousins.
And Kirk Cousins 3 interceptions, man. That shit was awesome. The L.A. Kansas City game was pretty close. I think that was probably one of the better games of the weekend. What'd you guys think about that one?
It was good. It was what I expected. I
Yeah,
expected
it was
nothing
cool.
less than two offensives really going at it. Defense stepping up when they need to step up,
Mm-hmm.
and the better team I think won.
OC, what do you think, Ben?
It's momentum swings, man. Like
Right.
these games, you see it. Like one team starts off hot and then it just fades away. Like the Chargers could have easily put that game away when they threw the pick six. Like they might go up 10 right there late in the third, and instead it's a tie game as soon as they throw that, and it
No, well, I
completely
think
just shifted
I think it was
shifted
a tied
the course of it.
game before the pick six. So it was a tied game, and then the pick six happened, and then that's when they ran it back. And then it
Well,
was yeah, it was after
either
that.
way, like
Yeah,
no, either way, just like the momentum shift. Like
right.
that's the biggest thing that I noticed as far as that
The
that changed the course of the outcome of that game. Because
right.
then obviously like you're about to score, take the lead or tie it,
Hmm.
and then boom, everything just shifts in one play.
Right. It's those close games, right? The ones that like the small margin of victory. Well, they just you pretty much you could look back to one play and there was like, oh, this was the play that changed the game, or this
Yeah.
was the play that directly changed the outcome of the game, and for that one was definitely the pick six, which is crazy.
Mhm.
Let's go ahead. Let's go into this week's games, the key matchups, the Thursday night, Sunday night, Monday night. Let's go Steelers versus Browns. You guys got OC.
Who cares?
Steelers,
Steelers? Yeah, I'm gonna go Steelers
Steelers,
too.
yeah.
Drew,
All right,
you don't care?
I'm gonna go Browns then. I'm gonna go Browns.
Just to switch it up.
Nah, the
This
Steelers were pretty embarrassing this last week, so I'm gonna go with Browns.
Yeah.
so you're gonna go with Browns. This one's interesting to me, man. The Bills and the Dolphins. We know the Bills always have the Dolphins number. OC, what do you think?
Well, if Tua's gonna play the way he did that fourth quarter, then I'm gonna roll with Miami.
Are you gonna stay
I'm gonna
loyal?
ride the hot train.
Out of boy. Me, man.
Now they can do it.
Yeah, it seems like they could put up points and probably go shot for shot with Josh Allen, but I don't think so. I'm still going to go Josh Allen, and I think that defense is not the same defense that the Ravens have. Drew, what do you think, man?
I'm gonna be rooting for the Dolphins, but I think the Bills are gonna win. I think it's gonna be hopefully a close game. I really want it to be a close game.
I want an
I think the
entertaining game
Bills will
too.
win. I think the Bills will win, but I'm really pulling for Miami.
Bengals and
Hey,
Jets. Or
yeah.
go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say if they want to contend for that division title, you have to beat them at home at least. So
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Bengals and Jets. OC, who you got?
Bengals finally a
Bengals.
bounce back game.
Yeah. I agree. I think they're going to finally bounce back against the Jets. Drew, what do you think?
I do think Bengals are gonna win.
So we're going Bengals across the board on that one. That's the only one we're not split off of. Yeah, that's the only one we're not split off of. Last week, I think it was different. Um, but yeah, exciting week 3. We'll see what happens this week. I feel like every single week there's some kind of soap opera shit going on, and it's pretty fucking interesting. Anything else you guys want to add?
You forgot your son.
So
Well, we're forgetting the
what about
Sunday
you?
night
Just
and the Monday night game.
fuck the Monday night game, huh?
I thought that was
It's literally
the.
You don't even know? Come on,
Oh
man.
Jesus, am I that unprepared?
Cowboys and Giants, baby, Monday night.
Oh,
and then you got your
excuse me.
San Francisco's on Sunday night, bro.
Yeah, your own team playing.
Oh
Sunday
yeah,
night.
yeah, that's right. Yeah, that's right. What am I picking here? What did I look at earlier?
I don't.
Yeah, I
You're
think
just
you're
throwing
just
random
going-
games out here.
I
think
think
you're
I
just
just,
picking the
I think I
first
just, yeah, I think that's my mistake. Let's go ahead.
Let's go Sunday
Yeah,
night.
I picked. Yeah, let's go. Let's go Sunday night. Let's go. I'll just edit that part out. We won't look at that part. I'll leave the Dolphins one in. That one's because that one's an interesting game. That one's gonna be fun.
Yeah.
Let's go ahead. Let's Sunday night. Niners and Broncos. Who you guys got? OC. Oh, OC.
San Francisco.
San Francisco. You don't think Russell Wilson's gonna do things against them?
He hasn't been that impressive these first weeks.
Yeah, he's kind of had a slow start. I'm gonna go with San Francisco too. Hopefully, maybe this is the time that they finally get Russell Wilson's number. Drew, what do you think?
I'm gonna ride with Russ.
You're gonna ride with Russ.
First one of the season. I'm gonna ride with Russ.
There you go. Okay, let's go. Let's go. Them boys and the Giants. I think that one's gonna be a good matchup too, man. OCU, who do you think?
Giants, bro. Come on, Monday night, 2-0.
I'm gonna.
Hold on. The same Giants that are on Andrew's shirt right there.
Oh,
Wrong Giants.
just a
How
different
long
color.
You been waiting to say that?
I'm gonna go
New
with
York Giants.
I'm gonna go with the New York Giants too, man. I just think this will probably be a tough one, especially with the backup quarterback. Drew, I know.
He's not a backup. He's a starter.
He's a starter, but you're gonna roll loyal.
Yeah,
Of course,
I'm gonna roll it. Fuck
of
the
course.
Giants. Saquon ain't gonna do shit. No, actually, I think
Wait, the
Saquon will
ones on
actually
your
be the
shirt
only
or-
one. I think Saquon will be the only one that really shows up for that game. Daniel Jones ain't gonna do shit against the Cowboys secondary. I think they're gonna sack him at least 3 times. Micah gonna get 2 of them.
Saquon having a
rolling
little
out.
bit of a renaissance here. He's finally actually making some plays. Do you think? Because he's healthy. Do you think he stays healthy throughout the year,
No,
or they still ride him into the dirt like they do every year?
he ain't staying healthy.
Yeah.
No, it's not gonna happen. Just like the Giants winning, not gonna happen.
All right. Anything else you guys want to add on that? No. No, man. I think we're good. Drew, whenever you're ready, man, go ahead, close us out.
All right, everybody. That was a little week 2 recap. Went over our little projections for week 3. Catch us next week when we get go over how German was wrong.
Oh, okay. Shots fired. Shots fired already. Okay. We'll see you next week, man. All right, man. I'll talk to you guys later.
Peace.
Nice.